Hey there, I'm Harper, a 28-year-old marketing executive. So picture this, life's perfect. I've got a great job, amazing friends, and I'm engaged to Mark Davis, this super charming lawyer I've been with for 3 years. Pretty sweet, right? Well, hold that thought. The crown jewel of my life? This stunning antique diamond ring from my late grandmother. It's been in my family forever, and Mark proposed with it. Talk about romantic. That ring is absolutely breathtaking. My best friend Lisa gushed one day over coffee. You're so lucky Mark used it for the proposal. I couldn't help but beam. I know, right? It means the world to me. At work, my coworker Jack always seemed to hover nearby. Hey, Harper, need help with that project? He'd ask, flashing a friendly smile. Thanks, Jack, but I've got it covered. I'd reply, completely unaware of his crush. Then there was Vanessa, Mark's ex. She'd pop up now and then, stirring the pot. Oh, Mark mentioned grabbing lunch to catch up, she'd say casually when we bumped into each other at a local cafe. I'd force a smile. That's nice. I'm sure you two have a lot to talk about. Later, I prettied up with Mark. Babe, I ran into Vanessa today. She mentioned you guys had lunch. Oh yeah, just a quick bite. No big deal, he shrugged. I tried to brush it off, but a knot would form in my stomach. You could have mentioned it, I'd say. Didn't think it was worth bringing up, he'd reply. You know you're the only one for me. And like an idiot, I believed him. We were planning our wedding after all. You're overthinking it, Lisa would assure me on our wine nights. Mark's crazy about you, so I pushed my doubts aside. I had the perfect job, the perfect fiancé, the perfect life, or so I thought. But little did I know, my world was about to unravel. As Mark and I dove into wedding planning, something felt off. He started acting strange, always glued to his phone and working late. That nagging feeling wouldn't go away. One night, I finally confronted him. What's with all the late nights? Big case, babe, you know how it is, he replied, not even looking up from his phone. I tried to sneak a peek at his screen. Who were you texting? He quickly snatched the phone away. Just work stuff. Don't be so nosy. That stung. The next day at work, I couldn't focus. You okay, Harper? You seem distracted, Jack asked, concern in his eyes. I forced a smile. Yeah, just wedding stress, you know. He nodded sympathetically. If you need anything, I'm here. Later, I met Lisa for lunch and spilled everything. Girl, you're just stressed about the wedding, she reassured me. Mark's crazy about you. I wanted to believe her, but doubt was creeping in. Maybe you're right, I'm probably overreacting. But then it happened. I was tidying up the apartment when I found it, a receipt for an insanely expensive necklace. My heart raced. Our anniversary was months away, and my birthday had just passed. When Mark got home, I couldn't hold back. What's this? I thrust the receipt at him. He paled. Where did you find that? Does it matter? Who's it for, Mark? It's for my mom's birthday, he stammered. I scoffed. Your mom's birthday was 2 months ago. Try again. Jesus, Harper, why are you snooping through my stuff? Snooping? It was on the floor. Who's the necklace for? He stormed off, leaving me standing there, hurt and confused. After that, I started paying more attention. Mark was constantly texting someone saved as V in his phone. My mind immediately jumped to Vanessa. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. Who's V? He looked like a deer caught in headlights. What? In your phone. You're always texting V, is it Vanessa? It's a work contact, he said, way too quickly. I didn't buy it, but I was too tired to argue. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my grandmother's ring feeling heavier than ever on my finger. What was happening to us? The next day at work, Jack noticed my mood. Rough night? I nodded, fighting back tears. You could say that. He hesitated, then said, Look, I know it's not my place, but if you ever need to talk. I managed a weak smile. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it. As I left the office that evening, I made a decision. I needed answers, and I was going to get them. Little did I know, the truth would be more devastating than I could have imagined. It was my grandmother's birthday, and I woke up feeling bittersweet. I reached for my jewelry box, eager to wear her ring in her memory. But when I opened it, my heart stopped. The ring was gone. Mark, wake up. I shook him frantically. What's wrong? He mumbled, still half asleep. The ring, my grandmother's ring. It's missing. He sat up, rubbing his eyes. Are you sure? Maybe you misplaced it? No, no, no. This can't be happening. Mark watched me, an odd expression on his face. Babe, calm down. We'll find it. But as the hours ticked by and we turned the apartment upside down, the ring was nowhere to be found. I collapsed onto the couch, exhausted and heartbroken. Mark, that ring meant everything to me. How could it just disappear? He sat beside me, his eyes avoiding mine. I don't know. Something in his voice made me look up. Mark, what are you telling me? He fidgeted, still not meeting my gaze. Nothing, I'm sure it'll turn up. But I knew in that moment. You took it, didn't you? What? No. Don't lie to me, I shouted, jumping to my feet. What did you do with my grandmother's ring? For hours, he denied it, accusing me of being paranoid and not trusting him. But I stood my ground, demanding the truth, until finally he broke. Okay, I sold it. The world stopped. You what? I sold it. I needed the money. I couldn't breathe. For what? What was so important that you sold my family heirloom? He hesitated, then whispered, for Vanessa's birthday gift. The room spun. Vanessa? Your ex-girlfriend, Vanessa. I'm sorry, Sarah. We've been seeing each other for a few months now. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. How could you? It just happened. I didn't mean for it to. Get out. My voice was ice cold. Sarah, please. Get out. He scrambled to his feet, grabbing his jacket. I'll get the ring back, I promise. Don't bother. Just get out of my sight. As soon as the door slammed behind him, I crumbled to the floor, sobbing. I don't know how long I sat there before I finally reached for my phone and dialed Lisa's number. Lisa, can you come over? I need you. She must have heard the desperation in my voice because she didn't ask questions. I'm on my way. While I waited for her, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jack. Hey, you weren't at work today. Everything okay? I stared at the message, tears blurring my vision. How could I even begin to explain? When Lisa arrived, she found me still on the floor, surrounded by tissues. Oh, honey, she whispered, pulling me into a hug. What happened? Through sobs, I told her everything, the missing ring, Mark's confession, the affair with Vanessa. That bastard. Lisa hissed. I'll kill him. Despite everything, I found myself laughing weakly. Get in line. As Lisa helped me to the couch, my phone buzzed again. It was Jack. Sarah, I'm worried. Please let me know you're okay. Lisa saw the message and raised an eyebrow. You should tell him. I nodded, typing out a reply with shaky hands. Mark cheated. Sold my grandma's ring. Could use a friend. His response was immediate. I'm here if you need anything. Anything at all. As I sat there, surrounded by the wreckage of my perfect life, a strange calm came over me. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of my revenge. After the shock wore off, I knew I couldn't let Mark get away with what he'd done. I called Lisa and Jack over to strategize. We need to make him pay, Lisa said, pacing my living room. Jack nodded. I've got a buddy who's a private investigator. He could dig up some dirt on Mark. I smiled for the first time in days. Let's do it. We hired the PI, and boy did he deliver. Turned out, Mark wasn't just a cheater. He was a thief too. He'd been embezzling money from his law firm to fund his lavish lifestyle with Vanessa. Holy, I muttered, looking at the evidence. He's been stealing for months. Lisa's eyes gleamed. This is perfect. We can take him down. We crafted our plan carefully. First, I anonymously tipped off Mark's firm about his embezzlement. Then, I exposed his cheating to our entire social circle and his family. The fallout was spectacular. Mark lost his job and was facing potential jail time. His reputation was in tatters, and I watched from afar as his perfect life crumbled around him. One day, I ran into Vanessa at the grocery store. She looked terrible. Sarah, she said, approaching cautiously. I'm sorry. I raised an eyebrow. For what? Sleeping with my fiancé or spending my grandmother's ring? She flinched. Both. I didn't know about the ring, I swear. And Mark, he's not who I thought he was. Karma's a asterisk, isn't it? I said, walking away. Meanwhile, I threw myself into work. My boss noticed my renewed focus. "Sarah, I'm impressed. How would you feel about a promotion?" I grinned. "I feel pretty damn good about it." As for Jack, he finally worked up the courage to ask me out. "Look, Sarah, I know you've been through a lot, but I was wondering if maybe you'd like to grab dinner sometime." I hesitated, then smiled. "You know what? I'd like that." Months passed. I was killing it at work, enjoying my new relationship with Jack, and finally feeling like myself again. Then came the night of the charity gala. I walked in wearing a stunning new dress and the ring I'd bought myself, a symbol of my independence. And there, working as a valet, was Mark. Our eyes met. He looked terrible, disheveled, tired, broken. For a moment, I felt a twinge of something, pity, maybe, regret. But then I remembered my grandmother's ring, the lies, the betrayal. I walked past him, head held high, without a second glance. Inside, Jack was waiting for me. "You okay?" he asked, noticing my expression. I took a deep breath and smiled. Never better. As we mingled with the crowd, I caught snippets of gossip about Mark's downfall. But I didn't care anymore. I was done living in the past. "Ready to dance?" Jack asked, offering his hand. I took it, feeling truly happy for the first time in ages. "Absolutely." As we swayed to the music, I realized something. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my life, my power, my happiness. And I'd done it. I'd won. The story's over, but I've got a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you have exposed Mark's embezzlement or kept that information as leverage? What would you have done differently for revenge? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hi, I'm Martha. I'm almost 68 now, and I've been a widow for a while. This big old house has been my home for over 4 decades, filled with more memories than I can count, some good, some bad. I've lived here so long that I swear these walls in my heartbeat. My kids, Tom and Sarah, are all grown up now, but we've always stayed close. They visit every weekend to help me with yard work and bring groceries. I thought we had a good rhythm, but lately things have started to change. My body's not what it used to be. Arthritis in my hands makes cooking painful, and cleaning the house is an uphill battle. Some days, just getting out of bed feels like running a marathon. So when Tom and Sarah showed up last Sunday with serious looks on their faces, I knew something was up. "Mom, we need to talk," Tom said, looking worried. "What's going on?" "You two look like someone died," I joked, trying to lighten the mood. Sarah spoke up. "We're worried about you, Mom. Living here all alone isn't safe." "I'm fine, really," I insisted, though even I didn't believe my own words. Tom leaned in. "Mom, we've been thinking. What if you signed the house over to us?" I nearly choked on my tea. "What? Why would I do that?" "It's not what you think," Sarah said quickly. "We take care of everything, the bills, the maintenance, all of it. You wouldn't have to worry about anything. And most importantly," Tom added, "we'd make sure you're taken care of right here at home. No nursing homes, no strangers, just us." I'll admit, it sounded tempting. No more struggling with the vacuum or trying to remember if I paid the electric bill. But still, I hesitated. This house is all I have left of their father. Sarah gently took my hand. "Dad would want you to be safe and cared for, Mom. That's all we want too." They kept talking, painting this rosy picture of how things could be. Me, comfortable in my own home, and them handling everything. It sounded like a dream. After a while, I agreed. "If you really think it's for the best." The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers and paperwork. I signed dotted lines and initialed here and there, and before I knew it, the house, the home I have lived in for 40 years, was no longer mine. But surprisingly, I felt relieved, like a weight had lifted. My kids loved me, and I trusted they would take care of me. Everything was going to be fine. "To new beginnings," Tom said, raising a glass of champagne after the final papers were signed. Sarah hugged me tight. "We've got you, Mom, always." I smiled, looking around at the familiar walls, the faded photos, the worn furniture. Everything was going to stay the same, just better. Or so I thought. But things didn't get better. In fact, they got worse. My health took a nosedive. One day, I was managing, and the next, I was struggling to make it to the bathroom without feeling like I'd pass out. Tom and Sarah started acting strange, whispering when they thought I couldn't hear, cutting conversations short when I walked into the room. At first, I figured they were just worried, but something felt off. Then, out of nowhere, this nurse showed up. "This is Nurse Jenkins' mom," Sarah said, all sweet-like. "Just a routine checkup." Nurse Jenkins poked and prodded, asking a million questions. "How often do you fall? Can you dress yourself? Do you remember to take your meds?" I answered as best I could, feeling more like a lab specimen than a person. After she left, I overheard Tom and Sarah talking in the kitchen. "Nurse Jenkins says she needs round-the-clock care," Tom whispered. "We can't provide that," Sarah replied. "Maybe it's time we consider other options." My blood ran cold. Other options? What does that mean? I didn't have to wait long to find out. I was supposed to be napping, but I snuck downstairs when I heard them talking again. "Sunny Meadows has an opening next month," Tom said. "I know it's a nursing home, but they have great reviews." "Mom would be well taken care of there," Sarah sighed. I couldn't believe my ears. A nursing home? After they promised to take care of me here? I burst into the room, anger surging through me. "So this was your plan all along? Get me to sign over the house and then ship me off?" They looked like deer in headlights. "Mom, it's not like that," Sarah started. "Then what is it like?" I demanded, because from where I'm standing, it looks like you two played me for a fool. "Mom, your health is declining. You need professional care," Tom said, trying to reason with me. "What I need is for my children to keep their promises," I shouted, surprising even myself. "We're doing this for your own good," Sarah insisted. I laughed bitterly. My own good? Or for your convenience? The argument went on for hours. They threw around words like safety and quality of life, but all I heard was betrayal. In the end, it didn't matter what I said. The house wasn't mine anymore, and it seemed neither were my choices. A week later, I'm sitting in a sterile room at Sunny Meadows Nursing Home, surrounded by boxes of the few possessions they let me bring. The walls are too white, the air reeks of disinfectant, and the sound of old folks moaning drifts down the hall. Tom and Sarah are getting ready to leave, but I can't even look at them. "We'll visit every week," Sarah promises, her voice thick with tears. "Don't bother," I mutter. Tom tries to hug me, but I pull away. "Mom, please understand," he pleads. "Understand what?" I snap. "That my own children lied to me, took my home, and dumped me here. Oh, I understand plenty. They leave, and I'm alone, truly alone for the first time in my life. The room feels like a prison cell. The bed's too small, the window's too high, and I curl up on the unfamiliar mattress, letting the tears come. This isn't how it was supposed to be. This isn't what they promised. I gave them everything, and this is how they repay me, by locking me away like some dirty secret. As I lie there, listening to the strange noises of my new home, one thought keeps circling in my mind. Asterisk, this isn't over, asterisk, they think they've won, that I'll just roll over and accept this. But they don't know me very well if they believe that. This is just the beginning. I'll be damned if I go down without a fight. The first few weeks at Sunny Meadows were hell. I felt like a fish out of water, gasping for air in this cold, sterile place. The nurses were kind enough, but it wasn't home. It wasn't my life. One day, I was sitting in the common room, staring out the window and feeling sorry for myself, when this spitfire of an old lady plopped down next to me. "You look about as happy as a cat in a bathtub," she said, grinning. "Name's Gladys. What's your story, honey?" For some reason, I spilled my guts to her. Maybe it was the look in her eyes, like she'd seen it all before. "Damn kids," Gladys muttered when I finished. Sounds a lot like what happened to me. But you know what? I ain't rolling over, and neither should you. She told me about her grandson, Mike, a hotshot lawyer who specializes in elder rights. The next thing I knew, Mike was sitting across from me, all serious in his fancy suit. "Mrs. Martha, what happened to you is not okay," he said, his voice firm. "It's called elder abuse, and it's illegal." "Elder abuse," I repeated, the words tasting bitter in my mouth, but they're my children. Mike leaned forward. "Family or not, what they did was wrong. You have rights, and we're going to fight for them." He explained terms like financial exploitation, emotional abuse, and neglect. It was like he was speaking a new language, but one that finally gave words to what I'd been feeling. "You're not alone," Mike assured me. "I've seen cases like yours before. We can build a case, but we need evidence." So I started documenting everything, every broken promise, every unanswered call, every detail of how they tricked me out of my home. Gladys introduced me to other residents with similar stories. Edna, whose son emptied her bank accounts, and George, whose daughter dumped him here and never visits. We started meeting regularly, sharing our stories and supporting each other. It felt good to have a purpose again. "We're not just going to sit here and take it," George declared one day. "We're going to fight back." Mike put us in touch with a support group for elder rights, and suddenly, I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was an advocate, a fighter. I started physical therapy, determined to get stronger. I researched laws and regulations, filling notebook after notebook with information. One night, lying in bed, I realized I wasn't sad anymore. I was angry, and that anger was fuel. "You picked the wrong old lady to mess with, kids," I muttered to myself. "Mama's coming for you, and she's bringing hell with her." The next morning, I marched into Mike's office, leaving my walker abandoned in the corner. "I'm ready," I announce, fire burning in my chest. "Let's take them down." Mike grins. "That's what I like to hear, Mrs. Martha. Let's get to work." As we sit and plan our next move, I feel more alive than I have in months. My kids thought they could brush me aside, forget about me, but they're about to learn the hard way. Never underestimate a pissed-off old lady with nothing left to lose. This fight is just getting started, and I'll be damned if I don't come out on top. They wanted to put me away and forget about me. Well, I'm about to become unforgettable. Mike and I hit the ground running, building our case brick by brick. We gathered every scrap of evidence, bank statements, property records, even recorded conversations. It was like piecing together a jigsaw puzzle of betrayal. Meanwhile, elder abuse cases started making headlines. Some big-shot celebrities' kids had pulled the same stunt, and suddenly, everyone was talking about it. I saw my chance and took it. I went on local news, told my story, and before I knew it, it went viral. My wrinkled face was plastered across the internet, my story shared thousands of times. People were outraged, demanding justice. Tom called me, panic in his voice. "Mom, what are you doing? This is destroying us." "Karma's a asterisk, 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 isn't it?" I shot back before hanging up. Sarah lost her job at the bank. Tom's law firm put him on leave. Their perfect little lives were crumbling, and I couldn't find it in me to care. The state launched a full-scale investigation into Sunny Meadows and my case. Turns out, there was a lot of shady stuff going on there that had nothing to do with me. Mike was in his element, presenting our case to the DA. "We've got them dead to rights," he assured me. "They're going down." When Tom and Sarah were charged with elder abuse and fraud, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just emptiness. The day of the trial came, and I walked into that courtroom with my head held high. Gladys by my side for support. "Tell us what happened, Mrs. Martha," the prosecutor said. So I did. I laid it all out, the lies, the manipulation, the betrayal. I looked my children in the eye as I spoke and saw the shame on their faces. "I gave you everything," I set my voice steady. "My love, my trust, my home. And you threw it all away, for what? A quick buck." The jury didn't take long to reach a verdict. Guilty on all counts. As part of their sentence, Tom and Sarah had to forfeit all assets gained through their fraud, including their own homes. Karma indeed. But it wasn't over. My story struck a nerve. Politicians started falling over themselves to propose new laws protecting the elderly. They called it the asterisk Martha Act asterisk imagine that. After it was all said and done, Gladys made me an offer I couldn't refuse. "Come live with me, you old bat," she said affectionately. "My place is too big for just me anyway." And here I am, starting a new chapter. Gladys and I, well, we've become quite the dynamic duo. We travel around, speaking at conferences, sharing our stories, and fighting for those who can't fight for themselves. I won't lie. There are days when I miss Tom and Sarah, days when I wonder if I did the right thing. But then I remember all the other Marthas out there, all the mothers and fathers being taken advantage of by their own flesh and blood. And I know I did what needed to be done. My name is Martha, and this is my story. A story of betrayal, yes, but also of resilience. Of finding strength when you think you've got nothing left, of standing up and saying asterisk, no more asterisk. To all you kids out there thinking of pulling a fast one on your parents, remember this. We may be old, but we're not dead, and we sure as hell aren't going down without a fight. So think twice before you cross us, 'cause karma? She's always watching, and she's got a mean right hook. Now, here's something to chew on. If you were in Martha's shoes, would you have taken your kids to court or tried to forgive them? There's no easy answer. On one hand, they betrayed her trust. On the other, they're still family. So where do you draw the line between justice and mercy? Drop your thoughts in the comments.